After I came back from a business trip, my mother-in-law had turned the 3 million yuan home I bought for our marriage into her family's ancestral shrine. She ruined my expensive decor and filled the place with memorial tablets for generations of Chen ancestors. I was shaking with anger. The second I tried to confront them, my husband raised his hand and slapped me. My mom hurt her back carrying all these memorial tablets. You've been married into this family for a year and still haven't gotten pregnant, yet you're here criticizing everything? She's doing this for us, asking the ancestors to bless you with a baby. Just put up with it and respect our family customs. Listening to that twisted logic, I actually laughed. That very night, I listed the apartment for sale online. When they found out, I gave them one cold sentence. You, your whole family, and your ancestors can all go sleep on the street together. That day, I came home from a business trip expecting a good night's sleep. The second I opened the door, I froze. An old altar stood in the living room, covered with Chen family memorial tablets. The scented candles I'd bought my husband were in the trash. Under the incense burner was the jewelry box my mother gave me for my wedding. My mother-in-law was pressing down on my husband's head as the two of them knelt on cushions and bowed to the memorial tablets. Through the smoke, her voice sounded especially eerie. Ancestors of the Chen family, our daughter-in-law has failed in her duties. She has been married for a year and still has no child. Please forgive her. Today, I will teach her the rules of this family. My mother-in-law suddenly spun around. You shameless woman, what are you standing there for? Get over here and bow to the ancestors. You're just a woman, yet you dare step across the ancestral threshold? Who gave you permission to stand there and talk? My husband rubbed his hands nervously, then grabbed my arm and tried to drag me over. Honey, don't get mad. Mom's back is killing her from carrying all these tablets. She really is doing this for us, asking the ancestors to bless you with a child. Just bear with it and go along with the family custom. I didn't look at him. My eyes were fixed on the wall. Our wedding photo had been ripped apart and scattered across the floor. The wall was full of nail holes, and in its place hung a yellowed family genealogy. I laughed from sheer anger. Go along with the family custom? Chen Mingyuan, did you forget whose home this actually is? My husband avoided my eyes. Of course it's our home. I paid for this apartment in full. I said it slowly, then yanked my arm out of his grip. You and your mother didn't pay a cent. Who gave you the nerve to turn my home into something that looks like a graveyard? The moment my mother-in-law heard that, she jumped up from the prayer cushion. Lin Wan, you have no respect at all. She marched to the altar, picked up a rough ceramic bowl and held up the filthy water inside, mixed with ashes from ritual paper. The spiritual master said your bad energy is why you can't have a son. You have to drink this ritual water. In front of the ancestors today, you don't get to say no. Before she finished speaking, she threw the water at me. I was ready and dodged, so it splashed all over my husband's face. Ash went into his eyes, and he crouched on the floor shaking in pain. She dropped the bowl, hugged him, then turned and screamed at me. Lin Wan, you heartless witch, look what you've done to my son. I stared at them without expression, then glanced at the robot vacuum in the corner. Before my trip, I'd bought a model with a security camera to watch the apartment. I never expected the people I needed protection from would be these two. Everything that had just happened was already being uploaded to the cloud. Heard him? I said coldly, pulled out my phone and called building management. Hello? There are unauthorized people in my apartment. They've damaged my property, burned ritual paper and incense indoors, and created a serious fire hazard. Please send security up immediately. You actually called building management? Lin Wan, that's my mother. Those are the Chen family's ancestors. Have you lost your mind? You're the ones who've lost it. I walked up to the altar and stared at the pile of wooden tablets. Chen Mingyuan, you have 3 minutes. Get your mother and all this junk out of my apartment. If it's still here after 3 minutes, I'm having a crew haul every last piece down to the trash. My mother-in-law came charging at me, screaming. These are the heart of the Chen family. Touch them and see what happens. I'll climb out that window right now, and I'll make sure everyone knows my daughter-in-law drove me to it. Then she dropped to the floor, slapped her thighs, and started putting on a full tantrum, but I wasn't someone she could bully anymore. I looked down at her with a cold smile. If you want to jump, go ahead. Chen Mingyuan, take your mother to the balcony so she doesn't dirty my carpet. I happen to have a large personal accident insurance policy, and the beneficiary is the legal heir. If she really jumps, the payout can cover her funeral. Her crying stopped instantly, and her face turned red. She had never seen me stand up to her like this. Before, I had always been patient and generous, swallowing every insult just to keep the peace at home. You're insane. My husband shuddered, his face full of fear. 3. I started counting down, staring straight at him. Then I picked up his prized sports star figurine from the entryway and let it drop right in front of him. It shattered on the floor. You! Before he could react, I called the renovation crew. Boss, bring the sledgehammers, get here fast. When my mother-in-law realized I was serious, the act vanished. She scrambled up from the floor and started screaming in my face. I told you she's bad luck. Chen Mingyuan, look at this shrew. If your name isn't added to the deed today, she'll throw both of us out tomorrow. Son, stop wasting time, lock the door. Nobody leaves until she signs a written promise and adds your name to the deed. That was when the last piece finally clicked. The ancestor worship, the fertility ritual, turning my apartment into a shrine. It was all about the property. They wanted to wear me down mentally until I broke and signed over a share of my home. 1-1, don't blame me. You forced this. Just add my name to the deed and Mom will remove the memorial tablets right away. Then we can go back to living like before. I looked at his ugly, greedy face and suddenly smiled, though there was no warmth in my eyes. You think because the door is locked, you're in charge now? Forgot to mention, the smart lock has an alarm and lets me remotely shut off the water and electricity. Also, building management and the police are already in the elevator. The second I finished speaking, someone knocked on the door, followed by the property manager shouting from outside. Building management! We received a report of a fire hazard. Open the door immediately. My husband's face went white. My mother-in-law, cornered like a trapped animal, grabbed the metal incense burner filled with ash. No, nobody comes in. This is Chen family property. Lin Wan, I'll kill you. She hurled the incense burner at me. I watched the ash explode through the air, already knowing I was done with this family for good. The real show was only beginning. The burner grazed my shoulder, crashed onto the carpet, and scattered ash everywhere. Right then, the property manager unlocked the door with the spare key, and 2 police officers walked in first. They looked over the altar and memorial tablets, then turned seriously toward me. Ms. Lin Wan, were you the one who called us? I nodded, showed them the deed proving the apartment was my separate premarital property, then opened the cloud back up. I showed the officers and the mother-son pair the footage of her destroying my things, throwing the burner at me, and my husband helping lock me inside. After watching the video, the officers sternly warned both of them, ordered them to remove the unauthorized items, and told them not to damage my property again. They made it clear that I was the owner, and further action could follow if they refused. When my mother-in-law tried another scene, one warning about detention shut her up. After the police and property manager left, the living room went completely silent. My husband wiped ash off his face, eyes red, then strode over to me with blame written all over him. Enough already. That's my mother, the woman who raised me. No matter how upset you are, how could you call the police on her? Go help her up, apologize, and we can put this behind us. Stop making the whole building laugh at our family. There it was again. Enough already. She's my mother. Same script every time. I laughed in disbelief and pointed at the memorial tablets. You think because the police left, this apartment suddenly belongs to the Chen family? I already told you, outsiders don't get to touch even a speck of dust in my home, let alone this pile of rotten wood. Who are you calling outsiders? You cursed, useless woman. Married for a year and you still can't have a baby. What good are you? You disrespectful brat. If I don't slap that mouth of yours today, my last name isn't Zhang. My husband pretended to hold her back, but all his strength was actually being used to block my escape route. Mom, don't hit her. Wan, just lower your head and give in. Agree to put my name on the deed and we can still be a family. I snapped my hand up and grabbed my mother-in-law's wrist before she could strike. Ow, you dare fight back? I shoved my husband away, walked to the entryway, took the deed from the locked cabinet, and slammed it onto the coffee table. Owner, Lin Wan. As the legal owner of this apartment, I'm ordering both of you to leave immediately. Otherwise, I will call the police again. My mother-in-law had no answer. She stared at me in disbelief. My husband froze too, his face twitching. Lin Wan, are you crazy? This is our marital home. You're kicking us out? This is my apartment, not yours. Right in front of them, I called the police again and put the phone on speaker. Hello, police? I'm filing a report under my real name. 2 unauthorized people have entered my private residence, damaged my property, and threatened me physically. You're crazy! Hang up! I quickly moved behind the dining table, pulled out a chair, sat down, and looked at the 2 of them from across the room. Don't you love kneeling? Keep kneeling. If those ancestors can supposedly help you take over my property, then ask them for help. Let's see whether they can magically protect you when the police arrive. When intimidation stopped working, my mother-in-law dropped onto the floor again. What a tragedy. A daughter-in-law defying her elders. Heaven has no justice. My son worked himself to the bone for this family, and now even his ancestors aren't allowed a place to stay. Stop bluffing. These are sacred ancestral items. If you make this public, you'll be disrespecting the family and ruining your own luck. She still thought I was the office worker who cared about reputation and feared gossip. What she didn't understand was that the moment I opened my door and saw the apartment full of memorial tablets, every last concern about appearances disappeared. Fine, scream louder. Save your energy while you can, because once the police arrive, you may not even have enough left to beg. The elevator chimed outside, and footsteps drew closer. The police were here. My mother-in-law still didn't realize this was only the beginning of her nightmare. I watched the sky darken outside the window, gripping the backup tablet with the camera footage in my hand. When the police returned, they warned the 2 of them again and ordered them to remove all unauthorized items and move out within 24 hours, or further action would be taken. My mother-in-law cowered in the corner the entire time and only dared look up after the officers left. The police had barely gone when the renovation foreman walked in with 3 men carrying sledgehammers. Anything made of wood or ceramic that doesn't belong in this apartment, smash it all. You got it. The foreman raised his sledgehammer. Stop, I want to see who dares. Ms. Lin, we really can't. It's already 9:30 p.m. and the building bans noisy construction after 8. If we start swinging sledgehammers now, every neighbor in the building will complain. I could lose my job and we'd have trouble explaining it to the police too. The second my mother-in-law heard that, her eyes lit up and she planted her hands on her hips with a smug smile. Hear that? Heaven stepped in. That's the ancestors protecting us. You disrespectful woman, you want to tear down their altar? Not a chance. My husband visibly relaxed too. Honey, you heard the property manager. Disturbing the neighbors this late really isn't a good idea. Why don't you send the workers home for now, and we sit down and talk this through? There's nothing to talk about. I cut him off and turned calmly to the foreman. Sorry you guys came all this way tonight. Here's 2,000 yuan for your time. Head home for now. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., the very second construction is allowed, I want you standing outside this door. I transferred the money right in front of my husband. Ms. Lin, that's generous. We'll be here at 7 sharp tomorrow morning. You're still planning to smash up my home tomorrow? My home. I'll tear it apart whenever I feel like it. I gave him a cold look and walked into the bedroom. Less than 5 minutes later, I came back out with the suitcase from my business trip. Where are you going? This place reeks of incense now. I can't stand the smell. Since you two love guarding this pile of wood so much, enjoy your night with it. If you leave, who's going to cook? Who's going to wash mom's feet? What kind of wife leaves home in the middle of the night? Aren't you ashamed? Even if you're not, the Chen family is. I didn't look back. My heels clicking against the hallway tiles sounded like slap after slap across their faces. Only after I left the building could I finally breathe again. I checked into a hotel, and the second I sank into the bed, I felt alive for the first time all night. I pulled out the backup tablet and opened the app. My husband and his mother had no idea the robot vacuum had a panoramic infrared camera and recorded audio too. Once the feed loaded, I saw exactly who they were when they thought no one was watching. My mother-in-law, who had supposedly hurt her back, was sitting cross-legged on a cushion, biting into an apple with one hand and stuffing braised pork from a takeout bag into her mouth with the other. Mom, I think Lin Wan is seriously furious this time. What if she really brings people over to smash everything tomorrow? My husband was squatting beside her, peeling an orange, his voice full of worry. Scared of what? She's all bark and no bite. Girls like her, raised as only children in the city, care more about reputation than anything. If she actually divorces you, how will her parents save face? Tomorrow when she comes back, I'll lie right across the doorway and see who dares touch anything. But the deed only has her name on it. If this really goes to court, we're the ones at a disadvantage. That's why you need to put her in her place. When she comes back tomorrow, give her the cold shoulder. She won't last. Once she breaks, tell her the home's feng shui requires your name on the deed. Say the ancestors won't accept anything less. Call it protecting the home's fortune. What does she know? Huh, Mom, you always have a plan. My husband rubbed his hands together, greed written all over his face. Once my name is on the deed, I'll sell Lin Wan's BMW. That'll cover the deposit for Ming Hao's wedding car. His girlfriend keeps pushing him. She says no car, no wedding. Of course, Ming Hao is the one carrying on the Chen family line. We can't shortchange him. Lin Wan makes good money. Once your name is on the deed, her money is your money too. Take her salary card and give her 500 yuan a month for spending money. Give a woman too much cash and she starts thinking she runs the place. I sat on the hotel bed staring at their ugly faces, a chill crawling up my spine. For over a year, I'd done everything for the Chen family, paid when his father got sick, bought his mother's birthday gifts, and used my contacts to help Ming Hao find a job. Yet to them, I was never family, just an ATM they could exploit. Take everything from me? I laughed coldly, backed up all the footage to the cloud, clipped the parts where they discussed their plan, and sent them to my private attorney. The evidence is ready. Prepare the divorce filing, measures to protect my premarital assets, and an application for a personal safety protection order. File everything first thing tomorrow morning. Also, check Chen Mingyuan's recent bank records, especially any transfers to Chen Minghao. After that, I turned off my phone. The hotel room was cold, and for the first time, so was my mind. Tomorrow, those memorial tablets would be splinters, and their fantasy would shatter with them. I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. Before I closed my eyes, I remembered the camera footage of my mother-in-law spitting at my bedroom door. Sleep well, mother-in-law. This is the last time you'll eat braised pork in my home. At 6:30 the next morning, the hotel alarm rang. I opened my eyes without a trace of softness left. All I had was cold clarity. What I'd seen on the camera had killed the last bit of mercy I had for this marriage. I got ready and left. Ms. Lin, we're really smashing it? Smash it. Don't leave a single splinter behind. I don't want even a speck of their mess left. I opened the car door, my voice completely calm. When I returned to the Xingfuli complex, the hallway still reeked of incense. Standing outside my door, I called my husband first. Lin Wan, finally came to your senses? Then go buy breakfast. Mom wants pan-fried buns with extra vinegar. When you get back, Light some incense for the ancestors, and we'll call this whole thing settled. Chen Mingyuan opened the door. Oh, so you finally came back? I locked the door on purpose so you'd learn your lesson. In this family, the person in charge is... Before he could finish, I pressed my finger to the smart lock. The night before, I'd remotely changed the password and deleted every one of his fingerprints. Verification failed. Please contact the administrator. I gave the foreman a signal. He understood immediately and swung a sledgehammer at the security door. My mother-in-law screamed inside while my husband scrambled around in panic. A second later, the lock clicked open. My husband stuck his head out in pajamas, his hair looking like a bird's nest and fury all over his face. Linwan, what kind of insanity is this first thing in the morning? His voice died the second he saw the 4 big workers behind me. His face went white, and his next words came out shaking. Why did you bring these men here? I didn't answer. I pushed the door open and led them straight inside. The living room still looked disgusting. Linwan, are you trying to rebel against this family? These are the Chen ancestors. You bring outsiders in here and you're not afraid of divine punishment? My husband finally reacted, turned red, blocked the entryway with his arms spread wide and shouted, Linwan, have you lost your mind? Those are the ancestral tablets, the roots of our family. Touch them and you're disgracing the whole clan. Get these people out of here right now. I stood there without even lifting an eyelid. I pulled a copy of the deed from my bag and slapped it in his face. Look carefully. Owner, Linwan. Every brick and every grain of sand in this place was paid for by my family. The Chen family didn't pay a dime for it. We're married. We're one family now, so this house belongs to the Chens too. Who said we're one family? Baldy, get to work. Smash that ugly thing in the middle first and make sure it's in pieces. You got it. I'd like to see who dares. If you've got the guts, swing that hammer at these old bones. My father died here. Let my ancestors come take all of you. The workers had seen plenty of scenes like this. The foreman grabbed my mother-in-law by the collar, hauled her aside, and dropped her onto the couch. Ma'am, we're here to smash furniture, not people. Sit tight and enjoy the show. Then the foreman swung the sledgehammer. It came down with a crack. The altar table split in two, exposing cheap particle board inside, while the ancestral tablets crashed across the floor. Glass shards flew everywhere. My ancestors! My mother-in-law let out a shriek and rushed forward, but the worker stopped her several feet away. Watching the altar get destroyed, my husband pointed at me and roared, You heartless woman, you actually dared to smash it. I paid a fortune for that rosewood table. I picked up a broken piece and tossed it at his feet. Lie to your mom if you want, just don't lie to yourself. This is cheap veneer over particle board and you call it expensive? Keep smashing. And take the incense burner, the prayer cushion, and that family genealogy too. Clear it all out. The workers didn't hold back. As sawdust filled the air, the musty smell in the living room slowly disappeared. Just as the foreman flattened what was left of the altar table, a crumpled piece of paper rolled out from a hidden compartment and landed by my feet. I picked it up and unfolded it. It was a receipt dated the day I left on my business trip. King-size bed, mattress, bedding set. Total, 28,000 wen. Deposit paid, 10,000. Customer Chen Mingyuan. My fingers clenched around the paper. I'd bought a 1-bedroom unit in Building 2 for my parents to stay in someday, so they weren't just trying to take over my master bedroom, they'd already secretly planned to give my parents' apartment to my brother-in-law. Then I saw the fine print. Balance to be paid by Chen Mingyuan using a mortgage loan after his name is added to the property deed. I was shaking with rage. My temples pounded as anger burned through my chest. Clutching the receipt, I walked straight up to him. Chen Mingyuan, what a wonderful husband you are, and what a devoted son to the Chen family. He saw the receipt in my hand and panicked. Still, he tried to talk his way out of it. Just let me explain. Minghao is getting married. His fiancé's family insisted on this bed. I was only covering the cost for him temporarily. Covering it? By putting my property up for a loan? I crushed the receipt into a ball and shoved it straight into his mouth. Right then, my mother-in-law suddenly went quiet. Her tantrum hadn't worked, and now the receipt had exposed the scheme. A nasty look flashed in her eyes as she jumped up and bolted for the balcony while the workers were clearing debris. She leaned half her body over the railing. You're driving this old woman to her death. Everybody come look. My daughter-in-law is trying to kill me. I can't live like this. Her screams echoed through the entire complex. My husband yelled at me. Are you trying to get my mother killed? If anything happens to her, I'll make sure you spend years behind bars. I watched her balcony performance without a trace of panic. Instead, I pulled out my phone and dialed 3 digits. Hello, ambulance? Yes, there's an elderly woman here acting unstable and threatening to jump. Also, please connect me to the police. I'd like to report unlawful occupation of a private residence and attempted extortion. I turned toward my mother-in-law frozen on the balcony. Go ahead, Zhanglan. If you don't jump, it'll be pretty awkward when the ambulance and police show up. Wind rushed in from the balcony and whipped her hair around. Half hanging over the railing, she'd expected me to panic. Instead, all she heard was me calling the authorities. Her body went stiff, fear flashing in her eyes. People like her value their own lives most, and love weaponizing everyone else's conscience. Too bad mine had checked out the moment I opened that door and saw this circus. Come on, Zhanglan. Didn't you say the ancestors would take me away? You go first and ask whether they welcome people who try to steal a living person's home. My mother-in-law shuddered. You're insane. She crawled back into the living room along the wall. Realizing the balcony stunt wasn't working, she looked at the shattered altar and started another tantrum. She threw herself under the broken table where the floor was covered in glass, splinters, and incense ash. She rolled around in the mess, smeared sawdust on her face, and banged the back of her head against a table leg. Linwan, aren't you rich? Aren't you so tough? She snarled. I'll stay right here and crack my head open under this altar. I'll spill blood in your house and turn it into a place nobody wants to live in. Then let's see how you live here or ever sell it. Enough! Are you really trying to kill my mom? Is this what you call manners? She's your elder. Send these people away, apologize to mom, and maybe we can still talk this out. I shook his hand off in disgust, pulled out my phone, started recording, and aimed the camera at his mother under the table. Recording for the record, any injuries are self-inflicted. Ms. Lin, she's still under there. What if the hammer actually hits her? Foreman, if she wants to stay there so badly, let her. If she gets hurt, I'll cover the medical bills. And if she actually manages to kill herself, I've even got the funeral expenses ready. Her headbanging stopped instantly. I said one word. Smash it. My eyes swept across the crew like blades. Seeing I meant it, the foreman got fired up too. He swung again, slamming the hammer into a board less than 4 inches from her head. Sawdust burst everywhere, and a splinter shot past her ear and lodged in the tile grout. Oh my God! She screamed, scrambling out of the debris and gasping in pain. I put my phone away with a cold smile. Done banging your head? Not turning my place into a haunted house anymore? Foreman, clear all this trash out. Yes, ma'am. I pointed at the broken wood and ancestral tablets. And take the living trash with it. Put everything in the hallway. My husband moved to stop them, but the foreman and 3 big workers stepped forward. He immediately backed off half a step. The next half hour was the most satisfying I'd had in over a year. The last board was smashed, the tablets went into black trash bags, and every piece of my husband and mother-in-law's luggage was dumped in the hallway. Ms. Lin, we're all done. Take a look. Thanks for the hard work. I turned to the mother and son huddled in the corner. Now get out of my house. I'm not leaving. This is my son's marital home. I have a right to live here. She started lowering herself to the floor again. I didn't argue. I reached into the breaker box and flipped the main switch. Click. I paid for this home in full. The utilities and building fees are all in my name. I've already requested the water and power be shut off. Internet and gas will be gone today, too. You still want to stay? Fine. No water, no power, no internet. You can sit in the dark and chat with your precious ancestors. As I spoke, I went to the entryway and grabbed my husband's backup tablet. He used it to message his younger brother, and the passcode was Ming Hao's birthday. Before he could react, I dropped it into my bag. That's my tablet! He lunged for it. I spun around and slapped him hard across the face. The sharp crack echoed through the silent room. That's the interest on using my premarital assets to buy your brother a bed. We'll settle the rest in court. Right in front of him, I switched the tablet to airplane mode. You can leave, but the evidence on this tablet is coming with me. Foreman, replace the lock with facial recognition. Nobody gets in except me. The sound of the new lock being installed rang through the hallway. My husband and his mother stood outside beside piles of bags, looking completely defeated. Lin Wan, you'll regret this. Regret it? Maybe worry about your brother first, the one waiting to use my home as his wedding house. I stood in the entryway. The floor was covered in dust, but the stale, rotten smell in the air was finally gone. I took out the tablet, bypassed the lock, and started scrolling. Sure enough, the last voice message in their family chat was dripping with greed. Ming Hao, relax. The fortune teller said if we stay in this house for 7 full days and use the ancestor thing to pressure her, her luck will be suppressed. Then she'll have no choice but to add your brother to the deed. Once we get the house, we'll kick her out and give it to you for your wedding. So they wanted to marry into my assets and strip me clean? Fine. I'd make them choke on every last piece. I smirked and started a full-screen recording. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text had come in from an unknown number. Hi, Ms. Lin. I'm Xiaoyan, Chen Minghao's fiancé. I heard the bed is being delivered this afternoon. I'm already at your complex, but I can't reach Chen Mingyuan. What's going on? I looked at the message and smiled. Now the show was finally reaching the good part. The elevator dinged open, breaking the standoff. Minghao's girlfriend stepped out in heels with her mother on her arm. The second they saw the hallway, both women froze. Plastic bags were piled everywhere, along with black bags full of ancestral tablets. Minghao's girlfriend shrieked and stepped around the incense burner. Chen Mingyuan, wasn't the big bed supposed to arrive today? What is all this junk? And whose dead relatives are these? Her mother turned livid and pointed at the tablets. Chen Mingyuan, didn't your mom say this place was ancestral Chen family property and the wedding would be held here? Why does it look like a funeral exploded in the hallway? My husband's face went dark red. His lips trembled, but he couldn't get a single word out. My mother-in-law's eyes darted around. Then she took a deep breath, let out a moan, went stiff, and slid down the wall. My husband reacted instantly. "Mom, what's wrong?" She clutched her chest, rolled her eyes back, made choking noises, and kicked her legs around on the floor. My heart, that heartless woman is killing me." My husband screamed at me. "Happy now? If anything happens to my mom, I'll make you pay for it. You're worse than an animal." Xiaoyan's mother frowned. "You're Lin Wan, right? Whatever the fight is, you're still family. How can you upset your mother-in-law this badly? Get her to a hospital. Lin Wan, give me 50,000 yuan right now. Mom needs emergency care, recovery expenses, and compensation for emotional distress. You owe all of it. 50,000, not a cent less." I leaned against the door with my arms folded, watching their performance. 50,000? Nice math. The bed cost 28,000, and the remaining 22,000 would perfectly cover the online loan debt he'd secretly been paying for his brother. "Chen Mingyuan, maybe take a look at your mother's acting first." I scoffed and pointed at her. Her eyes were closed, but she was gripping her chest so hard, her knuckles had gone white. Every few seconds, she cracked one eye open to check how Xiaoyan and her mother were reacting. "Enough, my mom is like this and you're still making jokes." I stepped aside, raised the tablet, hit play, and turned the volume all the way up. The screen showed everything. Footage of my husband and his mother plotting to force me to add his name to the deed and sell my BMW. Chats showing him sending money to Ming Hao and promising him the house. And finally, messages promising Xiaoyan's family the home was fully paid off and her name would be added after marriage. My mother-in-law, who'd been dying on the floor, suddenly went rigid. Xiaoyan and her mother went from pale to furious. "Unbelievable, Chen Mingyuan. Your family told us this house was paid in full and Xiaoyan's name would be added after the wedding. So you were planning to steal someone else's property, and you lied to us to get the engagement money too." "No, let me explain." "Explain what? You didn't even have your own money for the bed, and you expected my daughter to live in this shrine. Chen Mingyuan, I completely misjudged your family. The wedding is off right now, and give back every cent of that 50,000 yuan engagement gift." My mother-in-law shot upright from the floor, moving far too quickly for someone who'd supposedly been at death's door. "You can't take it back, that's my son's wedding money." She screamed and pointed at me. "Lin Wan, you installed cameras in your own home? That's an invasion of privacy. I'm calling the police on you." "The police? Great. They can also check whether pretending to collapse so you can squeeze 50,000 yuan out of me counts as fraud. And Chen Mingyuan diverted my premarital assets to support your younger son. My lawyer is waiting to settle that bill too." "Didn't you just say this wasn't over?" "Perfect. I wasn't planning to let it go either." Right in front of him, I called the owner of his company. "Hello, sir. This is Lin Wan. Sorry to bother you. I wanted to ask whether your finance department has recently found a 50,000 yuan discrepancy involving Chen Mingyuan." "No problem. I happen to have a recording of him and his mother discussing how to cover the books, plus transaction records showing project advances being diverted. Interested?" My husband's face drained of color. He knew better than anyone that his boss hated employees who played dirty with company money. "Lin Wan, are you insane? You're trying to ruin me." "I'm not ruining you. Your greed and your mother's ignorance did that." "Guys, move this trash farther away. I don't want it blocking my door." With a loud clatter, everything was shoved aside. Through the closed door, I could still hear my mother-in-law wailing, my husband shouting, and Xiaoyan's family demanding their money back. The sounds blended together like a grand funeral. I stood in the entryway and finally let out a long breath. I opened the security footage and rewound to a clip from my business trip. On screen, my mother-in-law crept into the kitchen, pulled a tiny packet of white powder from her pocket, and poured it into the thermos I used every day. My fingers tightened. A chill shot from my feet to my scalp. This wasn't just a scheme to take my assets anymore. This could have killed me. I called the police immediately. Someone entered my private residence and put an unknown powder into my drinking water. It may be a dangerous substance. I need officers here to collect evidence. Less than 10 minutes after I hung up, officers knocked on my door. I'd already explained the situation when I called. "Ms. Lin, we received your report. We also arrested a suspect for illegally selling controlled psychiatric drugs. Based on his statement and payment records, your husband Chen Mingyuan is suspected of purchasing the drug and attempting to poison you. We need your cooperation." The moment he heard attempted poisoning, my husband collapsed into the pile of trash, shaking uncontrollably. "It wasn't me. It was my mom. She bought it. I only knew about it and stayed quiet. Officer, she pressured me into it." He sold out his own mother even faster than he'd tried to steal my property. I stared at him, sick to my stomach. The officers quickly collected evidence and restrained my husband, then asked where his mother was. I looked down the hallway. Xiaoyan and her mother had already slipped away in the chaos. And my mother-in-law had actually fled down the fire stairs. She won't get far. I looked at my husband's pale face. "You'd better hope your mom turns herself in before the police find her." The police took my husband in for questioning. Because the case was still under investigation, he wasn't detained at that point. After posting bail, he was released pending investigation, required to keep his phone on, respond to summons, and remain in the city. The hallway fell silent again. The leftover smell of incense was still sharp in the air. I was about to close the door. Then my phone started buzzing nonstop. The property manager had sent me messages, along with several videos from the residents' group chat. In the videos, my mother-in-law sat on the steps in the courtyard holding a sheet of paper and shouting at the neighbors, "Everybody come look! My daughter-in-law, Lin Wan, bought a big house and forgot her family. She smashed the Chen ancestors' tablets and threw her sick mother-in-law onto the street. A woman like that deserves karma." The residents' chat exploded. Neighbors who didn't know the truth piled on and insults flooded the group. She even sent a voice message claiming I brought bad luck to my husband and destroyed the Chen family's fortune. I laughed coldly, gripping my phone until my knuckles cracked. I planned to save the full reckoning for the divorce case, but if she wanted to destroy her own reputation this badly, I'd help her finish the job. I immediately had my lawyer send her a defamation notice. Then I posted the security footage, evidence of her property damage, and the drug incident in the residents' chat. Public opinion flipped instantly. After receiving the legal notice, she stopped spreading rumors publicly and rounded up relatives to come make trouble instead. Less than 20 minutes later, loud footsteps filled the hallway. "Lin Wan, get out here. You disgrace, open the door. You got my brother hauled to the station. What kind of person are you? Everybody listen. She smashed our ancestors' tablets. The Chen family doesn't want a woman like this. Get out now or we're staying right here." I didn't open the door. I went to the storage room, grabbed a high-powered megaphone, plugged it in, turned it all the way up, and yanked the door open. The shouting stopped instantly. The relatives stared at me like someone had hit mute. I didn't give them a chance to say another word. I raised the megaphone. "Finished?" My voice blasted through the hallway, triggering every motion sensor light above and below us. "You want a divorce? Fine. But anyone who lied in the residents' chat about me smashing the tablets, cursing relatives, or called me bad luck outside my door has already been recorded on video and audio." I stepped forward and looked across the loudest ones. "Second Aunt Chen, right? Chen Minghao? And the rest of you elders too. My legal team has already preserved every voice message and video. Go ahead, give me your names. Who wants to be defendant number 1? Stop trying to scare us." "Zhanglan, want me to read out the evidence that you illegally bought drugs and tried to poison me? Or should I play the video of you plotting to take my property?" Her face went from pale to purple, and all that earlier screaming confidence vanished in a second. "What poisoning? You're making things up." Her eyes darted away, refusing to meet anyone's gaze. "If I'm making it up, we can settle that at the police station." I lowered the megaphone. "Chen Minghao, you wanted that bed, right? I paid for this home in full, and everything inside belongs to me. Chen Mingyuan is already out on bail pending investigation. Touch my door again if you want to join him." I looked at the mob. People get loud when they think morality is on their side. But the second the law threatens their own money or freedom, courage disappears fast. "Lin Wan, do you really have to take this so far?" Second Aunt Chen stepped back, her voice much weaker now. I smiled. "It's called rules. Don't the Chens love talking about rules?" Then I slammed the door shut. The hallway finally went quiet. 10 minutes later, the property manager texted me. "Ma'am, they're all gone." The old lady ran the fastest. She grabbed a cab heading toward the train station. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window and looked out at the lights. This city had cameras everywhere. She wasn't going to disappear that easily. I called my lawyer. "I've sent you all the evidence. No mediation, no apology deal. Whether it's defamation or attempted poisoning, I want all 3 of them held accountable for what their greed caused today." I walked into the master bedroom and tore down our wedding photo. My husband's smile in it suddenly looked painfully fake. Just then, my phone lit up. An unknown number had sent me a photo. It showed a visibly pregnant woman walking into a baby store with my brother-in-law's arm around her. Under the photo was one line. "Ms. Lin, want to know what else Chen Mingyuan had his brother take responsibility for besides helping him go after your assets?" My breath caught. I called the number back. In the background, I heard the exact same clacking mahjong tiles from the recording of my mother-in-law talking to the so-called master. I immediately started recording the call. "Who are you? What do you want?" The man answered quickly. "I'm Lao Yang. Wang Qiang stole my business and cheated me out of money. I've got all the evidence of his deal with the Chen family. Want to help me put them away?" The knot in my chest loosened. I arranged a meeting with Lao Yang immediately. He agreed to testify in court about the Chen family's fraud. After the call, I stared at the pregnant woman's photo, my eyes turning cold. The Chen family scheme went much deeper than I'd imagined. My finger slowly traced across the screen. In the picture, Ming Hao had one hand around the woman's waist with a baby store sign behind them. The sight made my eyes ache. Was this woman, Lin Xiao, really just Ming Hao's fiancée? I immediately had my lawyer's assistant verify Lin Xiao's identity, bank records, and contacts with my husband and his brother. Her ID photo and background file came back quickly, and what they showed was more shocking than I'd expected. Ming Hao was pinned to the floor by a bodyguard, still cursing. I ignored him. My eyes stayed locked on the tablet. The group name, the Chen Family Master Plan, felt like a slap across the face of my marriage. The last message had been sent by my husband outside the police station. Lin Xiao's real identity? My fingers tightened, the glow of the screen reflected in my eyes, cold as steel. Then footsteps sounded outside. My husband was back. How long are you going to keep this up? You drove Mom away, and now you're having people treat Minghao like this? He's my own brother. I ignored him and slipped into the study. The room reeked of cigarette smoke. I hurried to the desktop computer and hit the power button. My husband was arrogant. He always assumed I trusted him completely. He hadn't even changed the computer password since setting it a year ago. It was my birthday. The desktop loaded. My heart raced, not from fear, but from the rush of finally exposing the truth, just as I'd expected. His web version of WeChat was set to log in automatically. He'd signed out on his phone before leaving, but he'd apparently forgotten about this backup computer. The chat titled, "The Chen Family Master Plan" was right there. There were only 3 members, my mother-in-law, my husband, and Minghao. My fingers went white around the mouse as I scrolled back to the first day of my business trip. So the ancestors appeared in a dream story had been a complete scam. To take my property, they'd even weaponized superstition. Fighting back nausea, I started screen recording, uploaded every chat log to the cloud, and sent copies to my lawyer. Outside the study, my husband began pounding on the door. When I realized he'd figured it out, I yanked the study door open. I held up the tablet and hit speaker. Recordings blasted through the living room, my husband talking with Lin Xiao and the family plotting to drug me, take my home, and make Minghao take responsibility for the fallout. Bro, what did she just say? That baby is yours? I watched the whole family unravel and calmly called the police. I have people illegally entering my home, assaulting someone, and suspected of using a dangerous substance. This time, the evidence against my husband was overwhelming. His bail was revoked, and he was taken into criminal custody. I stood in the empty living room, surrounded by the wreckage, and finally exhaled. A marriage that had been a lie from the very beginning was finally over.